You can hold it if you want.
I don't know. We'll see how I. Maybe I'm comfortable holding it. Yeah, nice.
I think you.
Nice.
That's how you usually do it.
I'm a mic holder. It's true.
You're a mic holder.
Yeah.
Professional mic holder. Kia ora everyone, and welcome to another episode of Broadway and Other Kiwi Dreams, a podcast exploring the lives and minds of theatre practitioners in and around the Aotearoa performing arts industry. My name is James Shearer, and today I'm so excited to be joined by the one and only Eli Matthewson. Eli is a stand-up comedian, improviser, TV writer, podcast host, professional game show contestant. He's done it all. And recently he was down in Christchurch for his and Chris Parker's podcast, The Male Gaze, which is a fantastic podcast. If you haven't listened to it, please go and listen, after you've finished this episode, of course. In this conversation, we chat about Eli's first performing experiences in his high school theatre sports team and how that led to him becoming an improviser with the Court Jesters. We chat about writing for TV, particularly Jono and Ben, and we get a deep dive into the life of a professional game show contestant on shows like Celebrity Treasure Island and Dancing with the Stars. So, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, enjoy a conversation with Eli on Broadway and Other Kiwi Dreams. Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for doing this.
This is it. It's happening now.
This is the one.
Yeah. Wow.
This
Thank
is
you
what
so
we're
much
doing.
for having me.
You are so welcome.
Yeah. Incredible podcast studio that you have here.
Oh, it's great.
It's really state of the art.
Yeah, don't even have to pay for it.
Really? Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah, 100 seats empty.
100 seats. Yeah.
Yeah.
So such a pity none of the tickets sold. But once the word gets out, I think this could really start
Once the
cooking.
word gets out, yeah.
Once people realize they're going to be podcasts at 4.
Mm-hmm. Podcast at 4.
4 on a Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Haven't even
people-
finished work yet.
Yeah. They'll say I have to leave. I've got a family emergency, but actually it's because they want to come to this podcast about theatre in Christchurch.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, let's start by talking about why you're in Otatahi, which is for Male Gaze podcast,
Yes.
and also some new jokes.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. How did Male Gaze kind of get started?
We started our podcast, Chris and I, Chris Parker, for those not
Chris
aware.
Parker.
If
Christopher
you
Parker.
may have heard of him. We were working at Jono and Ben as like comedy writers, and at the same time, out of the same office, we were making the show Funny Girls, and just the more we wrote and did sketches there, we just realized like we would never be put in the same, like they would only ever put one gay man in anything on any show. And the same with like 7 Days and all the anything we did, we were like, oh yeah, there's like one token gay role, so wouldn't it be nice if we could do something together? Also as a way of just I don't know, making something out of a friendship that's existed for now like 20 years. Quite a while of which we were both in the closet. Neither of us came out until we were in our early 20s. So it's like lots to catch up on, lots of shared memories to get into. And that's how it started. And we just went for it and started going. And originally had more structure and then have slowly lost it as we became too busy / sometimes lazy to prepare it properly.
So you just don't prepare it all.
We prepare maybe one aspect of the entire podcast. Sometimes I'll have a notes app. For a while we had a Google Drive of like bullet points. But now I think we just come knowing based on what's happening in the world what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
/ we just find our way there.
Yeah. Do you prepare more for the live shows, or
We prepare a little bit more for the live show. We make sure we've got something to hang it on to. Because that would be, obviously, if we're just in our studio by ourselves riffing and it dies, that's fine.
That's
but in
fine.
front of...
You just don't put it out.
Yeah, exactly. But no, tonight there needs to be enough stuff to fill an hour for paying customers.
Yes. Yeah. Did you said for 8 years you were in the closet and didn't come out to each other. Did you have an inkling of like Maybe.
I don't really know. I guess in this, well, I mean, we were both like theatre boys and knew each other from like Sheila and Shakespeare and theatre sports. So in the way that most of those boys do end up being gay, not all, hashtag not all men, but some of them. So I guess, probably we both did. But, and like, I don't know, when did I come out? Like 2010, and then Chris like a couple years later. So
Because of
both
you.
of us. Yeah. Everything. It's all because of me. No, I don't even know what. Like for me, it was like moving from. As soon as I moved to a different city, I was like, oh wait, I can be whoever I want to be instead of trying to be one certain thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's a funny thing to like when you were closeted for so long, know each other, to recap on those like shared memories and shared stories and be like, wow, there's a lot more going on there than you thought at the time.
Yeah.
Or that anyone was saying at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of coming out, I was going to touch on this a bit later in the podcast, but since we're talking about it, your dad came out as well.
Did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar question to knowing about Chris. Was it a shock to you?
It was a shock. Yeah, I didn't see it coming at all. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I guess it's
because he has 5 kids.
He's got 5 kids. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. You just think of your parents in a certain way. Like everyone's got kind of a false impression of who their parents are because they're in the role as parents. So this is just another step of like discovering who your parents actually are, which I feel like is something that across your 20s, especially once you're in your 30s, probably even more in your 40s, you know, you're actually getting to know them as people because
flawed people.
Flawed people with a lot going on. So I literally had no idea. I mean, my dad, like, there were so many things that my dad was into that I wasn't into. That were like things that I was associate with like masculinity and stuff, like cars, and he was into like Super Rugby. He has since told me that he never actually liked rugby or cricket, and that he just thought that as a man he should be going
society.
to do those things.
Societal,
Exactly.
Wow.
But obviously, he did a good job of playing that role, to me at least.
Yeah. Did he? Because I've in preparation for this kind of watched a couple interviews that you guys did back in the day.
Wow. Preparation
Thank you.
for a podcast.
For a podcast.
That's crazy.
Who'd have thought? And I don't know, he kind of seems in his skin now.
Yeah. I think he's very at peace. I think it's the same thing that happens to a lot of people. You know, you spend so much time trying to meet the expectations of others. And actually, some of those expectations you're imagining, you know, / you're putting so much pressure on fitting into a mold that you don't have to. And I think, he's way happier. Yeah, he's way happier. He's got a partner now. They've got a lovely life. You know, I think he's really, sort of found his thing, found his life. Yeah,
good for him.
Yeah, really good for him.
Let's jump back to young Eli.
Yeah.
I've heard you talk a little bit about kind of doing theatre sports in high school and stuff. Did you do stuff before that? Like primary school, did you perform at all? Or
I'm trying to remember, like not heaps. I did like school talent shows. I remember me and my friends did like an impression of the Teletubbies one year. It was cursed. Like the well, the whole talent show was like all the popular hot people were doing. And I say hot. This was primary school, so obviously no one's hot. But you know, I guess in primary school, the popular kids, the kids who would go on to become hot,
pre-hot,
and at the time were good at sports, and they all did like a dance performance to 5, 6, 7, 8 by steps, like back to back to back. It was all like different groups of popular kids doing 5, 6, 7, 8 by steps. And then we went out dressed as the Teletubbies in these like homemade costumes, and I think just like walked. There was like a thrust stage, so we just walked the runway, made Teletubby sounds, acted like Teletubbies, and that was our act.
Bring it back.
Yeah, definitely needs to come back. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I did a couple of musicals and shows, maybe intermediate. and maybe a little bit of performing at church, I think, some little plays. But theatre sports was definitely the thing that like pulled me into performing properly, because we watched a lot of Whose Line Is It Anyway when I was a kid. Yeah. Like a lot. And so Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery were definitely like the hugest, like funniest people I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
So as soon as there was an opportunity to try and do what they did, yeah, I went hard at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And were you funny? Like, did you see yourself as kind of a funny kid, or?
I think a little bit. Yeah, I certainly.
Like, were you the class clown?
Yeah. Very early on, I did a school speech about the Spice Girls. This was like my first ever bit of comedy, I think. When I was 9 for the school speech competition, I did a speech about the Spice Girls, but it was basically a roast, and I was like,
and you didn't come out too early.
I know, I didn't get to that till later. But I was like, here's what they look like, and then drew these ugly pictures on the whiteboard, and then it was like, I'm going to play one of their biggest hits, and then played the song of vomiting. Or like, it was just like, this weird little, I don't even know what my teachers would have thought. But that was pretty early. And I remember like one of my creative writing exercises, I wrote a version of Cinderella, but it was like the ugly stepsisters were the heroes of it. And like little twists like that. And I definitely tried to write jokes. And I guess all the warning signs were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think as well, from being the only boy in my family, I'm one of 5 kids and the only boy, so I feel like, I mean, I'm not I don't know if that always ends up happening, but I certainly felt like I got a lot of free spotlight at home.
Yeah.
By virtue of
the uniqueness.
Yeah, the amazing diversity of being a man.
Talking of theatre sports, it seemed like you did pretty well at theatre. Like you were good at it, like naturally.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know. Just me and my friends Emma Cousin and Tom Hutchison.
Name drop.
Name drops. Yeah, we just went hard. Like, and the 3 of us were always in the theatre sports team, and then the 4th member kind of like rotated the whole time we were there. But we went hard, and we like, as soon as we were, probably from when we were 14 or 15, we would like, one of our parents would drop us into Scared Scribblers and we'd be watching that. This is when it was at 11 p.m. Absolutely crazy time to be out at night as a teenager, but we would, yeah. Will Alexander was in our theatre sports team for the last few years, and his mum would drive us there all the time, and then we would recap the show to her on the way home.
Yeah.
Faith, gorgeous woman. And yeah, we were like super into it. We would do heaps of extra practices. Yeah, it really was sort of the main thing. And then even when I left school and went to university, like, and started with the Court Jesters, I was like, that was so much of my mental energy was like focused on that. Yeah. We only won it once, so we weren't that good, but
come on, only once,
only once. And we were in 7th form finally. But we did make the finals most years. We put on a good show.
Yeah,
yeah.
Was there ever anything else when you were in high school, like, because you said like it took up everything. Was there ever something else that you maybe wanted to do, or? I
mean, other than performing, you mean? Because we obviously didn't, Sheila and Shakespeare Festival, musicals, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't even know what I wanted to be when I left school. When I was really young, I was like, I'll be a doctor because my uncle was a doctor, and, you seem like a nice life. Yeah. Then I was no good at science. I'm trying to think of what subjects I did. I did classics. My final year at school, I did do stats still, so maybe I was still holding on to maths being something. I think I thought about becoming a math teacher at some point. But nah, not really. I think by the time I was in that second half of high school, I was pretty set on performing or something in the arts.
Yeah, I wanted to be a engineer.
An engineer?
Point,
Wow, what happened?
This happened.
Yeah.
I was in year 11, and then I did the Glee Club at my high school.
Wow.
Did Chicago as my first musical.
Wait, what was your first musical?
Chicago.
Oh my God, best musical of all time.
I was
Chicago.
in Cell Block Tango where they do the spread eagle.
Yeah.
I was the guy that did the spread eagle.
Wow. That's a very sexed up role.
And
how old were you?
I was like 16.
Yeah, that's bad.
And we set it in our school hall and we had like the catwalk down the middle of the school hall. So I was right in the center of my school hall in front of all of the whole school.
Just doing the spread eagle.
I held the girl who did the spread eagle.
Amazing that they even kept that
Mm-hmm.
in there. And you know how isn't there a school version of Rent where it's like not AIDS that they have? It's like what they have something else.
I don't know what they have.
I don't know. They have
malaria.
I'm trying to remember what it is. But I remember Christ College doing the junior version of Rent. We did our junior production. Also, we had a Chicago number. All the girls did. He had it coming, but that was also like, again, it was like the popular girls.
Yeah.
And everyone's 14. Obscene stuff. Just with little chairs, flipping them around. I can't even imagine what it would feel like to be a parent watching that performance, but good for them. Yeah. I wasn't involved in anything sexual at school. I did If I Were a Rich Man for our junior production.
Classic.
Although actually in Guys and Dolls, I was the guy that introduced the whatever the girls are called there.
Dolls.
The dolls. Yeah.
I actually haven't seen Guys and Dolls, so.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
I mean, it certainly exists.
It's certainly one of the musicals.
It's certainly one of the musicals, yeah.
The MTI Australia says Rent School Edition has HIV/AIDS.
Wow.
But maybe I definitely maybe it's the junior version.
Yeah.
The preschool
or maybe
version.
A Christchurch school elected to change it themselves.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm like, what? I mean, it would have to still be a virus, right, for the story to make sense. COVID.
The modern version of AIDS.
Yeah. Well, they made the COVID vaccine thanks to years of work on the HIV vaccine.
It's true.
Still as yet unreleased, but it's don't know what that says.
Yeah.
Good to get some HIV chat in the pod. That's what this podcast is about, right?
That's why everyone came out tonight.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Jesters, Court Jesters.
Uh-huh.
And I guess being that you were doing theatre sports so much, that was kind of something you were looking towards.
Yeah. It was like the absolute dream. And they were all like the most famous people that I'd ever seen. You know, like
they still are.
Yeah, they still are. Yeah, when I was going to watch, it was like Harvey Hakeem, Kathleen Burns, Alice Canton, Dan Allen, all these people that I was like, these are the biggest stars I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Dan Bain, Jeff Clark, many of them still wonderful improvisers in Christchurch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was like, man, they must have the coolest life. As it turns out, no.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got there. Was it everything you?
Yeah. Newsflash is being an adult improviser is not the coolest life, but it was a lot of fun. And when I was in the Jesters, I mean, it feels like a very small stretch of time. Really, it's 2007 to 2009 before I moved away. But we were so like in each other's pockets. We'd just have dinner all the time and like. Because you would do a workshop, on Tuesday, then we get dinner afterwards, and then the show on Friday, and then we added a Saturday show, and then like the sports competition on Sunday, and then you'd get dinner before or after that. We literally, no one's earning, the money is not good, so like literally every cent you earn, you're then spending going to dinner, but
it's going into the morale of
the morale of the group.
Group.
Yeah, and it was a very like incestuous group. And I remember when we would do like the improv festival and stuff, that's what all the other improv companies from around the country would say. They'd be like, you guys really love each other a little too much.
Yeah. Was it similar to theatre sports? Or, well, obviously it's improv and all that stuff, but like how prepared did you feel going into it?
From doing theatre sports into doing that? Yeah, kind of prepared. But I used to get so nervous. I think probably like my first 2 or 3 shows, I like threw up before I did the shows. Like I used to get so nervous.
Yeah.
Just put so much stakes on it. And I guess that I mean, it makes sense because it feels like I was a apprentice or whatever for about 4 months maybe before I actually was in the cast. So like every performance is like an audition. It's weird to continue to do anything that makes you puke, but I only did it a couple of times. And looking back, I'm like, it is high stakes. I'm like, I guess everything that I've done since then, maybe I'm sure I would have found another way back into comedy, but it feels like those are the building blocks. So you don't want to like screw up those opportunities.
Yeah.
And I just loved it so much that I didn't want to get it wrong. Yeah.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely a big step. Like I think the leap from 1 year performing in a high school competition on a Sunday night at 7 o'clock to then doing a show at 10:15 p.m. for mostly drunk people. It's quite a big jump.
Yeah. Because you didn't get in at first, eh?
No. Nah. I think there was sort of like a one out, one in kind of policy. So I kind of had to wait for someone to leave. So Emma got in pretty quick. And then someone left, and that's when I got an opportunity. But I was like sending an email every week being like, please give me a chance. I won't let you down.
I'll do better, I promise.
Anything. Yeah. Yeah. I'll do anything, please.
Then you move up to Auckland.
Mm-hmm. I did.
To go to university.
Yes.
Correct. What made you choose Unitech over other places? Did you ever think about going to NASDA?
I did, especially because there was a period of time when my dad worked at CPIT, so that meant that I could have got pretty decent discount on my fees. But I think something inside of me knew that I needed to move away from Christchurch if I wanted to really test myself.
Yeah.
And I think a little part of me knew, even though I have always loved musicals and always wanted to do musicals, that I would never be at the standard to properly be doing musicals.
Yeah.
Which is, a sad thing to realize for yourself. But,
can't be good at everything.
You can't be good at everything. You can't be good at everything. Musical. I used to puke before musical auditions as well. That would really stress me out. Singing would be. I think singing is like so. The way that people talk about stand up, some people are like, oh, you can't hide behind anything. It's so vulnerable. I'm like, sort of. But also, you can literally fuck up and then get a bigger laugh for screwing it up. Whereas musical theatre, I'm like, singing in general, I'm like, you're only as good as you are at singing. And
because you did do some in your stand-up. You did some singing, eh?
Yes, I did. Way back when.
When.
Yeah. When I started, I used to do like a little bit because I used to play guitar and then I learned ukulele and I would do. We did a show called Fan Fiction Comedy when I was starting out. So that was another thing that I like forced my way into. I saw them doing it and I was like, I want to be part of that. So I just sent enough messages that eventually I got into it, and I would do songs as a way of having a little bit of difference. Mm-hmm. So I did a song about Star Wars, a song about Harry Potter, a song about Pokemon, a song about Jurassic Park. But I think, again, in the same way that I slowly learned about musical theatre, I was like, if you're going to do musical comedy, I think it's you should be really good at it. And I was okay, I was absolutely fine. But it was, I'm not good enough.
Have you thought about bringing it back?
Occasionally, but I'm like, maybe if I had the idea, and I do, the one way that I still do musical comedy is that my friends Laura Daniel and Joseph Moore, Two Hearts, they do a show called Hardcore Karaoke, and I play I'm part of that show as the like bartender, Watch What Happened live style, in the background, like shirtless, wearing a bow tie, making cocktails, and then we get a suggestion from the audience, a song and a subject, and then I have to write a parody during the show and then perform it at the end. Yeah, because I am quite fast at writing lyrics. Mm-hmm. So that's the one way I kind of stay plugged into musical comedy. Yeah, and maybe someday, like I feel like the even the idea of how stressed I used to get about singing, there's maybe some comedy. Oh, the fact that I fully remember vomiting before going to a showbiz audition for Miss Saigon, which, let's be honest, should have been put on in Christchurch. I don't know. Yeah, like I just cared so much. I don't know if I ever really wanted to be like a serious singer-songwriter or anything. I think I just liked the performance aspect of it.
Yeah. Back to uni for a sec, because you went for acting.
Yeah.
Did you do comedy as well while you were there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my friend James Rockgate was in my class, and he was like, when I was in first year there, he was competing in the Raw Quest, so we went to watch him. And then that August or something, I tried my first set, because I'd always watched a lot of stand up mainly on like YouTube clips and stuff, classic Ricky Gervais DVDs, and like there was a Sarah Silverman YouTube clip that I used to watch all the time, over and over again. And so I'd always kind of thought about it, but I never, like, I don't think I even really had a true awareness of what a joke was in that sort of form. So it was one of those, the first time I tried it, I just was like, I think there's a kind of funny ideas. I don't know exactly when the laughs might happen, but I gave it a go. And then, it really like spread through our class, because our class had me, James Rockgate, and Laura Daniel all in the one class. Yeah. 3 out of like, I don't know, there's like 17 of us by the end that did stand up. Yeah.
Did you feel like they supported that? Or like the uni?
The Unitech. Kind of. I got in a little bit of trouble with them for doing, at the start of my second year, I did like a play in the Fringe. I think especially because I'd come from the background of doing Court Jesters and like doing, I don't know, kids shows and stuff down here and putting on plays for drama. So like I really, especially in first year, you don't really do any plays. So I was like itching to do something. So me and my friend Hamish wrote something over summer and then put it on for the Fringe. And I think I was technically in trouble, but then it went really well and it won an award. So then I feel like retroactively they were like, congratulations on this amazing play. Like, well done.
So you do Raw Quest. You get to the finals or something?
I got to the finals.
You got to the finals.
Yeah.
Is that in your first year?
That was, That was like, I must have started in August of 2010, and that was like, I don't know, February, March of 2011 maybe? I don't know. Sometime in 2011.
That must have been pretty wild for that to be your first kind of...
Yeah, I had the advantage of having a lot of performance experience,
True.
I think,
Yeah.
which is like a blessing and a curse with stand-up. I think people who have done a lot of theatre come in and sometimes you can tell they've done a lot of theatre and it's not a positive. But at least it meant for me that I had like the confidence to sell these kind of pretty poorly written jokes, but I would act them out quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snort.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Well. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
So how does that come about?
That came about, in 2013. Donna Brookbanks, dear friend of mine. I'd never met her, but she was down here doing a play, down in Christchurch doing a play.
So you'd never met her before?
I'd never met her before, but then she was doing a play with Kathleen. And Kathleen Burns was like, come and do Skid Scriptless. So she just went to workshops, did a few Skid Scriptlesses, loved it, was like, why is there nothing like this in Auckland? Yeah. Kathleen put her in touch with me and Eddie Dever. And so she met up with us and she had already booked out, the Basement had booked it in for the whole of September in 2013. $5 cash on the door, improv, 10 o'clock for 4 weeks. In the original pitch, it was like, there'll be live music afterwards. Donna was like still pretty new to improv, and she kind of imagined originally it was like it was going to be a different format every week. So like I was in charge of the first week, but the second week Kip Chapman was going to do like a talk show, and then the third week there was going to be like a director guerrilla style thing. But I was in charge of the first week, and I was running all the workshops initially. And I was like so sick of all the theatre sports games. I was like, I never want to do puppets or word at a time or anything like that ever again. So I had been watching different formats on YouTube, and there was a special. There's like a UCB special, which has got like Amy Poehler, Tina Fey is doing the monologues. I think she's playing as well, like Rachel Dratch, Matt Besser, like all these legendary improvisers from Ask Cat And I basically just sent that video out. I was like, I think this is what we should do, which is just a monologue. You get a word and then you do scenes with swipes and taps. And so that's what we spent like the month of the workshops leading up to the first show doing it. And then we did that format on the first show. And then, there was this plan that we were going to do a different thing every week. And then because of how that was received, everyone was like, no, we'll just keep doing this format.
Yeah.
And so, we just continued doing that. And it was a great, like a fun little world that like pulled together all these people who now I'm like are so strongly associated with each other, but I feel like we're in separate worlds. We're in like some people who are so actors and some people who are so stand-ups and not together at all. And then Snort just like brought together this like, really interesting combination of people who then went on to do so much stuff together.
So it was kind of like a who's who of comedy.
Yeah, it feels very cool. And like I feel very proud to have been involved with it because like so many of the cast as well had never done stand up before, and then now like Alice Sneddon, Donna Brookbanks, Laura, like all these people that had never tried it before and now have gone on. Because Snort was great training. You did improv, but you also do these monologues every week. So you get words and you talk for 2 or 3 minutes, and it's just like incredible training for doing stand up.
Yeah.
For feeling the audience in the room, for just flying by the seat of your pants. It's one of those. It's really cool. I'm so glad we tied it up when we did because it was growing and growing for a while. I think someone says to me once that there's like a set number of people in a group. Like once you exceed 12 or something, the group will divide. There'll be factions within the group. And I think for those first few years when there was, like 10 or 11 of us, it was like, we're so tight. We just have a group chat going all the time.
Yeah.
We'd do the show, we'd hang out and have drinks. And obviously that's just like not a sustainable way to live, especially as everyone heads into their 30s and people get successful and busy. And we needed to bring new people in. So we brought more and more new people in. We never wanted to do the like improv school world, I think.
Yeah.
But that just like wasn't our vibe. So that idea of like training and levels and stuff, which exists in a lot of places overseas, and I think is like can have its place, but I think we really wanted it to be like fun first. So sometimes that might have been to our detriment. I'm sure there were many shows where the improv was absolutely terrible, but we always had a really good time. Yeah.
Did you do the whole way through? Were you part of it the whole way through?
Yeah, the whole way through.
Did you think about, did the people who created it think about like stepping away and like passing it on? Well, I guess that's what you're talking about. You kind of had to train people up and then do that.
Obviously, there were people who moved overseas, and then like there were some people who just like quietly stepped back and stopped playing as much. And then, especially in the last few years, and I think COVID was a real like threw a real spanner in the works because we had brought in a bunch of new people at the start of 2020.
Right.
We were going to do our first Edinburgh in 2020, so we were building towards that. Because we basically didn't get paid. The money would go into a pot, and that was how we did Snort at the Melbourne Comedy Festival. Yeah. And like we did that for 4 or 5 years maybe, and like at first doing it to like 4 people in the audience, and then like building it. So the last time we did Melbourne, it like sold out the whole run, and it finally like everything paid off, and it obviously also just like helped a lot of people get to Melbourne. Yeah, their accommodation and flights would be covered, and then they could add a solo on as well. We did the same with Edinburgh. And I think people sort of quietly stepping away, and it was getting busier and busier. People always loved doing the show, but it was just like, especially if you're getting like other performance opportunities. Like I think when we were starting out and all of us didn't really have much on, so you're like, this is my one thing. Snort was always a blast to do, but it was it became a chore. I have to do it every week. Yeah, when everyone's in their 30s and have lives, and a lot of people doing very well, so it was like they don't necessarily need to be doing it. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about writing for TV. And having okay, if I must. Was Funny Girls your first?
It was John and Ben was the first thing that I started writing on.
Yeah. How did that happen?
Basically, I think from not stand-up actually. I think it was from me and Hamish's plays. And I used to do improv with a con artist in Auckland, and Joseph Moore had come to see me. Now one of my best friends, and he worked there, and it's just one of those classic workplaces where everyone's a contractor, so sometimes people are busy and they're away.
Yeah.
So someone was away for a little bit, got another job. I think it was Jermaine Ross, who's a editor, so he got a big editing job, and so they needed me to come in and do like research. So basically, for John and Ben, that was you would watch all the TV. You'd watch Breakfast, Shortland Street, the news, all the news for any funny clips that happened, clip them up, and then like pitch them to John and Ben to be in the show. So I would do that. Like that was like a day and a half of work.
Yeah,
I think maybe 2 days sometimes, and then for like 2 years that was kind of about as much. I would do that and then do like a pub quiz, and that was like my income, pretty much. And then slowly, as things changed, people moving on to other jobs. I think John and Ben moved pretty soon to like the 7:30 like hour long show, so they had a bit more budget, a bit more time for writers.
Yeah,
And you would just pitch ideas. Basically just in a room, just 5 of you in a room, and sometimes you would have an idea for a sketch, and if you pitch it and someone likes it, they'll be like, yeah, write it up, and then you write it, you read it, and sometimes they happen and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
And then my favourite part of the week is you would do like alt jokes, so there would be like a set script for John and Ben, and then on the morning of the show, everyone would come in at like 8 a.m, and you would have overnight, you get given all the news topics, and you write alternative gags to try and beat the ones that are in the script, and then you sit around the room and read them out. And it's like always so intense because they're in the Google Doc, and they'll bold them as they go with the ones they want to use. I mean, I do this now as well for 7 days with Jeremy Corbett. We go into the room with Jeremy Corbett and we pitch the jokes for him, and then you're literally looking at this Google Doc and you're watching which ones he bolds and which ones he leaves.
So they don't like say, oh, that's the one.
Oh, you do a little bit of chat about it. Yeah. You do a little bit of chat about it. But yeah. But to be honest, I like always loved that. Like, try and make a shorter, sharper, better joke is like, I don't know, good fuel and was good training. Yeah. Yeah. And then, off John and Ben, they added in Funny Girls. Honestly, written in like spare time at John and Ben. There just wasn't enough budget for it to be its own, like it didn't have its own office or anything. It all just came out of John and Ben. So again, and we would just like stay late in the evenings and write these silly sketches and do them. We're super, super lucky. It's a crazy opportunity. I'm very sad and worried that there's not anything like that at the moment for
like
young writers.
Sketch kind of TV.
Sketch TV or anything to really like just exercise those like writing muscles early. I mean, I guess a lot of people are doing it for themselves now on like TikTok or whatever, but there's something different about being in a writing room and brainstorming ideas with each other.
How do you enjoy that over or compared to like writing for your stand-up?
Well, I would say I've slowly learned to write like that for my stand-up as well. So
like with other people? Or?
With other people. Yeah. So I have like a little journal with me that I take most places that I'll think of ideas and bullet point them and stuff, but most of my really decent writing comes from like going to a cafe with a few friends. Yeah. Like 2 or 3 people. So
to intentionally write the show, or it just comes out of...
It's kind of like writing sections of it.
Yeah.
So you'll do like, often we'll be like, okay, 20 minutes quiet writing, everyone puts their headphones on, and then you write, and then you share a bit, and then people just chip in, give you lines or different perspectives, different angles on a topic. Yeah. The more and more I've done it, the more I'm like, I need to work like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just won't get it done. Or I need to basically write it and then get it on stage that day. Yeah. I think you can't, I don't know, some stand-ups do, but the idea of like sitting at a laptop writing a show out and then just performing exactly what you've written I don't think would work for me. I need to kind of like bullet point it. Yeah. Read it for some friends.
Because I guess you really don't know until there's an audience.
Nah, because I mean the whole art of what you're trying to do is like find an observation that people haven't maybe put words to themselves, but that they will relate when you say it. Yeah. That's the ideal. but you don't know if they're going to relate until you're in front of a room full of people. Yeah.
Like, am I the only person who's observed this?
And what's crooked is that most of the gigs where you try your material for the first time are like such bad environments for comedy anyway. But because they're such bad environments, it means that, I don't know, they've got bits have got to be really good to survive. Yeah.
Trial by fire.
Trial by fire. Yeah. Performing at a bar full of, the open mic that I normally do in Auckland is like, honestly, it's only university students and tourists. So it's like either people who have no idea about anything in New Zealand or just like 18-year-olds.
Not old enough to know
they
anything about New Zealand.
don't know any of the references that I'm talking about.
Is the show tomorrow night? Is that did that come out of the kind of going to the cafe and
I've been going to the cafe this week.
Yeah,
with Brittany Stent and Rhiannon McCall, and Brendan Green, hashing out some ideas. Yeah, and then we tried some the other day. Chris and I did a live podcast in Auckland. We just did 10 minutes of stand up at the start that were really loose ideas. So just trying stuff. This
is the place to do it.
That's fun. It's made because comedy can be so lonely, but it's so nice to get together with people, and then often you go and watch their show, and like there's so many bits where you're like, oh, I remember like how this started, and like you're like, oh, it's just nice that we all contribute to each other. Yeah. And I'm thinking it in my show. There's a couple of bits in my hour this year that a couple of lines where I'm like, oh, Guy Montgomery helped me with that line. Mel Bracewell helped me with that line. You know, like I'm just taking off all the people that like, helps me make the joke better as I perform it. Yeah.
Well, this will come out after that, after the shows. So it was great.
Thank you.
All the jokes landed.
Everything was perfect. No more work to do.
No, it's done.
Take the summer off.
Take it to Edinburgh. More recently, you've moved into doing some game show stuff or competing in some game show stuff. How has that experience been?
You mean like Spelling Bee?
Spelling Bee, Celebrity Treasure Island.
Yeah.
Dancing with the Stars was a bit ago, but...
Hey, not that long ago, man. I'm still relevant. It's fun. Like, I mean, all of those experiences, just feel so lucky to be doing any of it because most people don't get to do it. Like both of the Celebrity Treasure Island, I never really like had my sights set on. Actually, I don't even know if either of those were things that I ever expected I'd be doing. But Dancing with the Stars was like crazy to get to train in dancing for a month. It was so good.
Yeah,
I'm trying to learn to play tennis at the moment. I'm trying to take the same approach of like I was so bad when I started the Dancing with the Stars process.
If only there was tennis with the stars.
I know. But it really made me like, oh, okay. If you just work at something, you know, because there was a deadline and something to work to, I really put the work in. I was, that was my new theatre sport. You know, I was thinking about it all the time.
Yeah, and it was it felt quite important for you to be the first same-sex duo.
I was so lucky.
Yeah.
And that was like such an unfortunate, well, we're not unfortunate, such a fortunate stroke of luck as well. I think I only got cast on the show. It was like last minute because it was COVID, and they were like, we're going to add one extra couple in to make sure there's insurance for if people get sick, and people did get sick. So it was like a sensible decision. But yeah, it was like so random, and I think I probably wouldn't have got that if I hadn't been doing breakfast radio, which I'd only just started like a few months before that. Like it just all fell into place. Yeah, it's really, those experiences are so fun. I mean, they're also hugely traumatic, but in their own ways. And like, the year, because I did Dancing with the Stars and Celebrity Treasure Island, like the filming, because you film Treasure Island way before it comes out. That was all, I mean, maybe not 6 months, maybe within 8 months of each other. You know, like it all happened so quick. And this is when I was doing breakfast radio, waking up at 4 a.m. that whole year. It was like the craziest year of my life.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I'm not operating like that anymore. Well, those things are fun. And I think because I have worked as a writer and like seen the behind the scenes of TV, when you get those opportunities as well, you're like, oh, I think I know how to make good TV, and that's like, look, it's hard. So especially for Treasure Island, I got some hateful comments, and because of some of the choices I made. But I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't know. I still am like fine with it. I made good TV, which is like a fun part of it. And then like I did spelling bee recently, and I've had a few like a few negative comments for me. I screwed over Rose Matafeo in like a betrayal-based game. Yeah. But also
beloved Rose Matafeo.
Beloved nation's comedy icon. But I was like, literally the game, like I'm thinking when I'm doing it, I'm like, someone has to screw someone else over. That's why this game is
You're
here.
writing as you're going.
Yeah, I'm writing it as I'm going. And I was like looking around me, I was like, who's going to do it? I think I'm probably the person that needs to do it.
Yeah.
I kind of thought Rose might do it to me as well.
Just getting in there before she
Yeah, exactly. I was like, if anyone else, because the other two that were on the lineup with us are two absolute honeys, but they've done like way less TV, so I'm sure that they were like, we don't want to seem mean. And I'm like, I've been there, done that. You know, I've betrayed people on camera before, so I'll do it again.
I don't care.
Yeah. And I've had so much, I think, from watching RuPaul's Drag Race, that honestly was like the perfect training for then doing reality TV show, because you really realize that the people that break out from shows like that are just give everything to it. Yeah. They just treat it as a performance. Yeah. So anytime they're doing their like camera interviews privately, they're doing a show. Yeah. And
they're doing this high five.
Yeah. Which is why I think comedians are great on reality TV show, and and can offer a lot more than most sports people. Although some sports people can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Some sports people are comedians.
Yeah.
Should be comedians.
Yeah.
Speaking of celebrity treasure, I watched your elimination last night.
Oh, did you? Oh my God! Wow.
Speaking of trauma,
yeah,
like the cards.
Yeah, it was so bad. I was just truly wrecked.
What a brutal way to go! Like,
yeah, it was so sad.
There's all these like competitions of like strength and swimming, and then to go out on building a card house.
And then it was so sad because it's not like neither of us did well at it.
Mm-hmm. Laura was like waiting for you to fuck up.
Yeah.
She just built one level and
just waited. Just waited. And yeah, Sam, my partner, is like a huge fan of these shows, and he taught me the exact way I should have been stacking cards, which I should have learnt and researched before I did the show. Because
how could you not have learned to build a card house?
Well, I didn't know it was going to be like on a seesaw with some weights. You know, there was a lot of extraneous features. And to be honest, on that day, again, I've worked behind the scenes in TV, so you're kind of seeing how the episode is playing out as you're in it. And I was like, I think it's genuinely, I'm like, it's my time. And I was so physically drained, so wrecked, that I was like I wanted to win. I was also like, I don't think a woman had won. And I was like, wouldn't it be great if Laura won? So, I was like, part of me was like, not that I could have ever beaten her, but I was like, that's great. It's great if she beats me. That'll be great storyline for the show. And she did then go home the very next episode. So it didn't matter. Yeah.
But pretty poetic to go out against Laura, eh?
Hey, it was quite nice.
Yeah.
It was quite nice. I think if you're going to go out against anyone, you want to go out against your friend. And I only had to do 2 elimination challenges. The other one was against Matt Gibbs. So they were like two of my best friends there. Were the only people I had to face. Yeah. And it was nice. And I felt good for the show. Because I know when Chris Parker and Britney Stent were on it, they really wanted those two to go up. I'm sure the story producers were like, these best friends, let's pit them against. And they didn't get it. So I was like, well, at least we delivered on that. The thing that you didn't get last time.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Coming to the end of the pod, do you have anything coming up that you are looking forward to? Other than tonight and tomorrow night?
Yeah, great live shows tonight. Not really. I've honestly just like wrapped up my sort of tour. So it's just, summers are about writing. So I'll be writing a new show. I've got a couple of other writing projects on the back burner. Honestly, I'm looking forward to taking a break. Yeah. This has been a very Well, it's been a good year, nice year, but I've done a lot of traveling, so it's like I'm really valuing staying in one place.
Yeah.
And I will value that over summer.
Good.
Not that I'm at all upset to be in Christchurch right now, my beautiful hometown.
Hashtag blessed.
Yeah.
Well, the question I kind of like to ask everyone at the end is, considering this is called Broadway and Other Kiwi Dreams, what is your Kiwi dream?
Oh, wow.
What do you still want to achieve in life?
Wow.
Wow.
Huge.
We asked the big questions here.
Yeah. I really want to write a book, like a fiction book is one of my goals.
Mm-hmm.
And a movie. I want to write a movie. And I want to, I don't know, have a nice life, live by the beach and chill out. Someday.
Work really hard, but also not.
But also, yeah, get some relaxation eventually. And, oh God, I don't know. Any way that I can keep doing stand-up and people still want to come watch me, I will feel very blessed and very stoked. So, any of that.
Amazing.
Yeah, that keeps going. That's great.
Just keep going.
And obviously every single reality TV show I can possibly get on. That's the true Kiwi dream.
Producers,
No.
you heard it here first.
That's not true. I think I've done all I need to do.
Producers, you heard it here first. Do not.
But I will accept.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Hey,
for being on the pod.
kia ora. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Shall we do your show?
Yeah, let's do that, eh? Let's
Okay.
do that.
Thank you all so much for listening. I enjoyed my conversation with Eli so much. It was such an amazing chat that we had. I think it flowed really well. Yeah, it was just an awesome conversation. Please go and check out the Male Gaze podcast. It's been going for 10 years now, so you got a lot of episodes to sink your teeth into. And if you ever get a chance to see Eli live, I cannot recommend it enough. He's just got this way that he pulls observations from his own life that are really specific to himself, but somehow manages to pull you into that observation and almost like see it for yourself. You'll see if you go see him, but he is an amazing stand-up comedian. If you get to see him improvise, he's an amazing improviser. Go see him on TV. Just go enjoy Eli, because he's great. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Broadway and Other Kiwi Dreams is hosted, edited, and produced by me, James Shearer. You can follow me on all the social medias at Kiwi Dreams Pod. And yeah, if you want to share it with anyone, please do, because this was an amazing episode and I think a lot of people will really enjoy listening to Eli. That's it from me. Have a great day and I'll talk at you next time on Broadway and Other Kiwi Dreams.